Welcome to CyberMaynia, cyber talks with the brightest minds in cybersecurity. Discussing risks, AI, emerging threats, workforce challenges, and more. Brought to you by Cyber Range Solutions. With your host, May Brooks.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of CyberMaynia. And today it is my great honor and fun, to be honest, to host Ken Fishkin. How are you, Ken?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm very well. We just had an interesting conversation about kibbutz in Israel, so that was fun. So before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about your background, who you are, what are you doing, what's your connection to cybersecurity? There's a big connection there, so let's start with that.
All right. So, Ken Fishkin. I am currently my job is I am the senior manager for a national law firm called Lowenstein Sandler, and they did not have a dedicated security person when before I was hired, and so I became the first person to really take a look at their security needs and reevaluate it and assess it. And now we have a full-blown program after 3 years, and we got ISO certified last year. It was a big accomplishment. And before that, for 21 years, I was a consultant and traveling around the country, helping companies. First, I did, before I got into cyber, I was doing IT work for companies all over. And then we built a cybersecurity program, a practice. And from there, it just took on. And I already had my CISSP and some other certifications. So it was an easy fit for me, even though I thought it was going to be very hard to switch over from IT to cyber. But I quickly adapted to it. And then I fell into this job 3 years ago of being president of ISC Squared, and now I'm this big volunteer nut. I've been president for 3 years now, doing that. I'm on the advisory board for InfraGard, which is a public-private organization working with the FBI, and I also am a mentor. And I'm doing all different things, and I can't get enough of volunteering now. So that's really what my life is like. I have one daughter. She's 22 years old now, and so she's all grown up. So I can devote a lot of more time to helping others now. So it's been extremely rewarding making this community, the New Jersey chapter, and I'm very grateful for everything.
Incredible. And I have to say, from my perspective as an ISC2, also chapter president, former president of the Israeli chapter, volunteering the UAE chapter advisory committee, etc., I loved what you've done in the New Jersey chapter. I have to, in full disclosure, I just participated last week in one of your chapter meetings, and it was phenomenal to see I think it was over 100 people, right, that joined us live.
Yes. We have a great attendance.
It's incredible. So you basically rolled into this chapter president role during COVID, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was not sure what I was going to be doing with my extra time because we were all trapped like everybody. I was thinking about going for my master's, and then I was offered this opportunity. So I said, all right, I never ran an organization before, so now's as good a time as any. So I took a chance, and that's how it started.
So that's incredible. So how many people did you have in the chapter when you started?
About 30.
And today?
Over 400.
Incredible. That is massive. And definitely your chapter is definitely one of the most exciting chapters. And I've been following it for a while, seeing it grow and seeing all the activities you've done, which is incredible. And I want to ask you a little bit about the steps that you've taken to create such a thriving community, because it's more than anything, it's a community. You're not only doing like the official professional meetups, you do other things as well, right?
Oh yeah, we do a ton of other things now. It's so hard to keep track of, to be honest. So we have our normal monthly meetings that are virtual, and then we start, because of COVID, we threw in a couple of picnics, so it was outdoors and safe, and they became a big hit, and we're still doing them. We just had our last picnic 2 weeks ago in the pouring rain, but because I got a little pavilion, we were able to have everybody stay dry, and over 70 people attended still. So
It's incredible.
it was an amazing showing of what the community is. I couldn't have been more happy. So yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I really love it. And I know that you're doing a lot of things internally in the community and reaching out as well. And I want to ask you, not just with IC2, but with other organizations that you work with that you've mentioned before, how do you feel your personal impact on the entire security landscape, let's call it locally, nationally, maybe even globally?
It's hard to say. I mean, that's a really hard question, because I really just think locally, to be honest. And if it just happens to be more national or global, then that's great. But my goal really is to help the people that and locally really means virtual now also. So the people that I can have one-on-one conversations with and that I can see and talk to are the ones that I really feel like I have the biggest impact with. And so it is globally now, because we have members now from all over, and which another thing that I never would have expected. So it's really nice how it's turning out.
I think it's fantastic. And don't be modest, where you're almost coming up in about 2 months' time to the second global chapter activity that you've initiated last year, which was
Yeah,
incredible.
that was a lot of fun, and I'm working with with the new president of Israel, and the two of us just
Giddy.
started chatting. Yeah, Giddy. We just started chatting one day about collaborating just the two chapters, and I said, "Why don't we throw more chapters in?" And the next thing you know, we had this international conference, and Giddy was instrumental in making that happen as well. So it was a wonderful experience, and I'm looking forward to doing it again. And now we're getting much more support from IC squared headquarters, IC2 headquarters now, and it's wonderful to see.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I absolutely love that. And I think that's one of the things that really changed around COVID. Because to be honest, teleworking has been around for many years, and things like Zoom and WebEx and Teams and whatever, and StreamYard that we're using here, it's not something new. It's not something that happened after COVID. It existed before. But I think that today the entire global community in cybersecurity specifically, because that's the only industry I know, but in cybersecurity, we can really reach out and we work with other regions around the world. And when I started working in the UAE, I reached out to counterparts in other places around the world. So it's incredible to hear their perspective of what they're doing in other places and implementing it in my little backyard. So I think it's really incredible to see from a professional and personal point of view. And before we move on to other topics, you've also been a mentor to students, to people starting out in cybersecurity, to people throughout their career in cybersecurity. I want to ask you, from your experience as a mentor, what has been like the most rewarding experience that you had, like something that really someone that maybe transformed their entire career during the time that you mentored them, something like that? Can you share some story?
Yeah, of course. So my biggest accomplishment right now is it was a coworker who was feeling like he didn't have much growth where he was, and he was doing AV, and he wanted something more. And he started to befriend me, and he started to join the organization. He really didn't have any cybersecurity experience at all. And he started coming to the picnics, he started coming to the events, he started volunteering for all the different things that I needed. And back then, I really needed a lot of help, especially technical help. So he was perfect. Like we had a live conference, and he was the AV guy for the conference when it was in person also, and he was a really good networker, and he was able to get himself a cybersecurity job now, and he's able to work at home. That was another one, another thing. He wanted to work remotely, and so he got the job that he wanted. So it was really nice to see.
That's incredible. And I think that this story, like many other stories that we shared, and I'm sure you have many other stories, and I have a lot of these stories, it's never too late, I think, to join cybersecurity. I had a conversation actually today with a guy that has been working in biotech, and he's a biotech engineer, and he's been working in that industry for a while, and he always wanted to be in cybersecurity. And all people told him, no, it's too late for you, you have to start over and you'll compete with 20 something years old. And I was like, no, don't throw away your experience. You have incredible experience, use it, learn cybersecurity and specialize in this industry. Go and work in the biotech industry and give your perspective as someone who understands this industry from a professional point of view, and give the cybersecurity point of view. I think there will be an incredible sort of merge between two worlds. And I can tell you from my personal experience, my BA is in biology, not cybersecurity, not IT, not anything like that. I started with biology because I was planning to go to medical school. And then I started in cybersecurity and fell in love. And for many years, I said, okay, I never really needed that background. But when I got to positions working for biotech companies, suddenly that background was imperative. So I think it's never too late, and reach out to people in chapters. Usually, most of us tend to be nice people, usually, right?
Uh,
I think, yeah.
yeah,
I think,
our motto for our chapter is no drama. So if anybody
ooh,
breaks that motto, they're out. We haven't had to do that with anybody yet, but it's been Uh, yeah, because I've heard so many other organizations, they fall apart because of political infighting, and so I try to keep this place as drama free.
yeah, super important. Well, you touched a little bit about the many, many roles that you hold. Like you have so many different roles, from the professional side with the law company, the chapter presidency, the mentorship, the advisory committees, etc. How do you try and balance these responsibilities out? I mean, it takes time. For those of you who are not volunteers, it takes time, it takes energy, it takes focus. How do you still manage to balance them out?
It's not easy, and I still haven't figured it out 100% at all. I mean, there was a period where I would just wake up and do work and then do my other job, pretty much every day. It's gotten a little less than that, but it's uh, it's tough, and really time management is really what it comes down to, and knowing yourself and knowing what your priorities are. It's like anything else. Like if you have a crazy job, one job could be just as crazy. You have many responsibilities, and that one job could drive you, you know, insane. So I had a crazy job before this. So I was working insane hours, weekends. So when I had a job that didn't require that kind of time, it was it was like I felt like I needed to fill the gap. I'll say like it was not easy for me. So I needed a hobby. I'll say, and this became my hobby, and I never expected the hobby to grow like this. So that's really
Yeah.
how it became the way it is.
So what keeps you passionate? What keeps you going in cybersecurity? Because you say it became your hobby, and I can totally relate. But why is this your hobby? Why not taking up, I don't know, playing the guitar or running a marathon? Why cybersecurity?
Because the community aspect of it, seeing how people respond to what I'm doing to create this community has never been any I've never seen anything like it. And anytime I feel like I want to get lazy and not do anything or do something different, people are just emailing me and texting me with such excitement about the next project or something else to do that I feel like it's like a mission now, kind of, as crazy as it sounds, but it's just that the people get so excited about what we're doing next. I mean, we're helping senior citizens be educated on the latest cybercrime, and we got like 10 committee members for it. It's just like there's so many different things that I want to tackle now in this field, and that are not technical per se, or that are just not the normal cybersecurity thing that you would think of. But just getting people educated and helping them get to where they need to be, whether they're new to cybersecurity right from college or whether they're transitioning from one field to another, it's just I've never found anything more rewarding.
Absolutely, I can totally relate to that. Um, there was a time that I was getting a little bit tired from running the chapter in Israel, and I was like, can I actually step down? I have to say that when I relocated, I had to step down because I didn't really have a choice, and I still miss it. And I'm very fortunate to see the chapter growing and doing so well under Giddy's guidance and the rest of the team. They're doing a wonderful job. I'm super proud of them, and I can say I'm super proud of them because I trained most of them. So I was actually their CISSP instructor for the majority of the current
Interesting.
leaders. So yeah, I was
That's pretty
Giddy's
cool.
instructors as well. Yeah, well, it gets there after almost a decade. Yeah, but I'm still very much involved in that community and in other communities. And I think at some point you feel some sort of responsibility. And I think for me personally, I think that as an industry, the cybersecurity industry has some sort of responsibility to keep the general public safe, because it's easy for us to look at an email and see, oh, this is a phishing email because of X, Y, and Z. It's not that easy for someone who is not trained in cybersecurity. And I think that it's our responsibility as an industry to help others stay safe online, because it shouldn't be something that only we're privy to. So I love seeing other chapters and other leaders in this industry giving back to community and doing these things. I think it makes a huge impact. I really do.
I definitely agree.
Yeah. So I love what you've been doing, and I love the work that a lot of chapters have been doing around the world. I think it's really incredible. I wanted to ask you about your personal journey. Like, did you have a specific like aha moment that really changed the way that you look at cybersecurity as a whole?
I didn't have something like that, but what I did have was an aha moment that I was good at the job. So I'll give you a crazy example where I somehow I got involved with the Equifax breach response, and I was with the attorneys general, helping them out, figuring out what the case should be like, and what to determine what their response should be going forward with Equifax. And I was in front of a panel of people interviewing them, interviewing the security professionals who did the incident response, and to be able to ask intelligent questions and to be able to have it was just an amazing experience, and one I never thought I'd be able to do. And that at that moment, I knew that I was in the right profession.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. Sort of getting out of the whole imposter syndrome mindset that I think most of us are sort of deal with on a day-to-day, or maybe not day-to-day, week-to-week basis. So on that note, I want to congratulate you for winning the James R. Wade ISC2 Service Award that has been awarded to you and will be presented to you in the ISC2 Congress coming up later this month. And we're now recording this October. And this prestigious award that in full disclosure, I was part of the awards committee. It really recognized valuable service to IC2, and we're also looking at people servicing the entire community. And I think for me, as someone who's been in the awards committee, I saw all the applications and I saw the work that you're doing. But I want to tap into something else. I want to tap into the mind of an award winner. And this is not your first award. I want to mention that. You've also won the World 200 CIO CISO Award, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yes. So what does this recognition mean to you?
It means that I'm being acknowledged for the hard work that I'm putting into, I guess. From other than the people in my chapter. So other people are noticing it. It's really nice, and I'm really humbled by it, but I don't know what it means in the big scheme of things. I just am completely flattered.
Well deserved, I can tell you. And I've seen the nomination, so I should know. So I want to congratulate you from my perspective as well, because I think you are doing a wonderful job. There were a lot of wonderful candidates, not just for this award, for all the awards this year. We had wonderful candidates. And it's really heartwarming because for me, I've been in the awards committee for a few years now. I've been coming back and forth with the awards committee, and I see it growing, and I see people giving back to community, and I think that's absolutely incredible. And before we sort of go to the personal quiz part of this talk, I want to ask you a few questions about the future of cybersecurity, because you have extensive experience. And I want to talk to you about the next generation of cybersecurity leaders, because we do see a lot of changes in this industry. We see a lot of technological changes, personal changes, compliance changes. We see AI now, generative AI, that is really changing the landscape. I want to hear from your angle. What do you think will be the key traits that the next generation of leaders in cybersecurity will need?
I really think that the skills that we have now are going to be the same skills in the future. It's just we're going to have better tools. So you still have to have critical thinking. You still have to be able to figure out that root cause analysis of why something happened, and not just take a computer's word for it that this is the reason why things are being done. Things will be done much faster and much more efficient. There's no question about that in the future. But I think to be able to be tenacious and drill down and figure out exactly what is going on, that's never going to change in this field, because it is a cat and mouse game, and it will always be that way. And computers are there to help us, and we're not going to rely on them 100%, of course. There's always going to be a human element, and we have to be able to adjust accordingly. The criminals are going to adjust and use all the same tools, and we just have to, I don't know. I think that what we're doing now is great, and the more we make this, I'm going to say, the more we make this industry similar to the financial industry, where we can have more, the auditing is a little more formalized, I think, and the way that we build programs are done more structured, because I think a lot of the smaller organizations have no structure at all, and you have to have a lot of money in order to have a structured program. And I'm hoping with the tools that come out and the work that's put in the future, that will be less of an issue. Like there'll be some kind of baseline that companies will have in order to defend themselves against cyber attacks. But until that happens, it's going to be very hard.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that, companies, I think most companies today understand that it doesn't really matter how big or small you are. You can still fall victim, and you need to prepare yourself and you need to protect yourself. But I don't think that smaller companies have the budgets, the means, the people. And I think that it did change a little bit when the industry started going towards CISO as a service or virtual CISOs, that companies that don't need a full-time CISO can still have that service in some capacity. I think that automation will change it, and not just automation, probably automation and AI will change some of those aspects, but we'll still probably need to do more. Towards the end of this talk, I always like to finish these episodes with a few personal quiz questions, like very fast shooting. And let's start with the first one. Like, what's the most daring thing that you've recently done to push yourself outside your comfort zone?
I
It
really
doesn't
have to.
have to be cyber related.
The biggest thing that recently, I mean, becoming president of ISC Squared is probably the biggest thing that I pushed myself, because I've never run an organization before. So that's probably one of the biggest things I've done in recent
Amazing.
time.
And you're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Okay, if you could have any cybersecurity superpower, what would it be?
If I had any cybersecurity superpower, it would be able to, I don't know, besides the obvious, detect criminals when they're coming into your network. I think that's what everybody wants if there's a cybersecurity superpower. But it's being able to absorb information faster than humanly possible, because the amount of information that we're given, we can't possibly keep up. I think that's one of the biggest challenges. We always get these articles that we want to read, and or the latest NIST framework, and it's hard to make the time for all this stuff to absorb it. So if I was able to speed read quickly a lot of these things, that would be a phenomenal superpower that I would like to have.
So, you know what, let's stay on the same topic. Is there a book or resource that has like profoundly impacted your life or your career?
Yeah, it's absolutely. I'm just trying to remember the exact title. I just slipped my mind for a second, but there was it was like the CISO Handbook or something like that, and Todd Fitzgerald. I'll give him a shout out, but I can't remember the name of his book. But it's the one book that was able to really, before I got this job, really put the job into a different perspective and make me realize how important all the aspects that you have that are technical are not necessarily usable when you're running a security program. You really need to be able to interface more with the senior management and build a program, and you have to let some of that technical stuff go to the side and work on being a CISO.
Brilliant, amazing. I'll have to check that out because I don't think I've read this one, so I'll have to try and find it. What was the best piece of advice you received throughout your career, and if you can share who gave it to you?
The best piece of advice in my career that I've been given is really to focus on three things, and it was given to me by somebody who was in the U.S. Navy. It was, when you're a leader, the three things that you have to work on are tone, teamwork, and tenacity. And if you have those three things, you really can do anything.
Oh, beautiful. Love that. And last but not least, if you could go back in time and give young Ken one piece of advice, or more than one piece of advice, what advice would you give them?
To be more curious, probably, and take more chances. And because you only live once. And
Yes.
when you're in the moment,
Yes.
it's hard to see, that. But, looking back now, I would have never thought, what my life is now has become compared to what it was, what I was doing when I was much younger. And I was much more timid, that's for sure. So that's the advice I would give.
Beautiful, beautiful. I can tell you that a friend of my mom's once told me, life is not a dress rehearsal. We only get one shot.
Exactly.
So I try to live my life like that. That is so good. I absolutely love this. Thank you, Ken, so much for coming here today. I think you shared a lot of amazing insights. really. And I love the job that you've been doing with the New Jersey chapter. I hope to see much more of you guys in the future. And thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, May. This has been truly a pleasure, and I really hope nothing but success for this podcast. And I'm honored to be one of your first few guests on it.
Yay! Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time on CyberMaynia.